Good evening, everybody. Woo! Oh, we already got a viewer in here. That's great. Welcome to Graps TV Wrestling Recap. AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan. Oh my God. Tony Khan. If you keep bringing matches like this, if you keep bringing a show like this right here, man, WWE ain't got nothing else to do but bow the knee. And for all the drones out there tonight, for all those WWE drones that talk about, oh, they don't tell stories. I just can't get into the stories. Y'all ain't got shit to talk about tonight, and I said it just like that. Y'all ain't even got, man, please. You know what? If Tony Khan keeps bringing shows like this right here, I just, oh God. I got to tell you, I was thoroughly entertained. I'm still sweating. Seriously. That was one of the best shows since I've been fully watching AEW. That is one of the best shows. Hell, that's one of the best wrestling shows I've seen since 1995. Tony made me feel like I was a kid again, and Dad was sitting over there watching wrestling with me, and we were just looking at each other going, they can't top this. They can, and then it just kept on building. And then it just kept on building. We were just sitting there like, we would be sitting there watching some stuff, and this is a little bit of a pre-chat here, you know. We used to watch WCW, and then Monday nights were absolutely horrible in our house because especially if we had work to do on Tuesday. Very true story. Very true story. You'd have like the WCW show would come on and everything else, and Raw was taped. In other words, they would replay it. So you could catch the WCW show, then flip over to Raw, or vice versa. WCW wasn't taped most of the time, it was live. And to be honest with you, this took me back to 1995 tonight. So if I could say anything in the world to Tony Khan tonight, and I doubt Tony Khan's even listening to this, but if you do happen to stumble across this stream, thank you, sir. I had a come to Jesus minute tonight because all I kept sitting there thinking was, man, Dad would have loved this. Dad would have been just as jacked as I was jacked. And I mean, literally, I like, with the exception of a couple of minutes of things that generally irritate me, and that's not even a big deal. I could overlook all that tonight. This is not even the go home show. The go home show's next week. I'm dead serious. This is like the pre go home show. And wow. I got nothing else to say but just I'm sitting here all night long just going, wow, it can't get better. And boom, it just hauls off and gets better. Every single match meant something. Every single video package meant something to All In. And I'm here to tell you right now, All In is getting ready to be a beast show. Now, there's a couple of things that could happen that would probably have me roll my eyes for about 5 minutes. But Tony Khan is the king of pay-per-views. No one on this planet can deny that. And when I say no one, I'm talking about New Japan, uh, TNA. Give me a break on that. They do good. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on them. But nobody comes even remotely close to the kind of magic that Tony Khan makes with these pay-per-views. And we got All In, and 2 weeks later, we got All Out. We're going to get to that too. All Out's already looking stacked. We already got one confirmed match for All Out, and that's going to be Pac versus the winner of the MJF Will Ospreay match. So we automatically know we got a banger ass match for All Out in Chicago. And we ain't even started with that card yet. We ain't even there yet. And already we got gasoline on a big fire. But leading into this show right here, I got a couple of things I want to get off my chest. Number one, Bully Ray, you ain't nothing but a fat bastard. That's right, I said it. I hope somebody says it. I hope somebody tags Bully Ray in this thing. You ain't nothing but a goofy ass fat bastard WWE shill. Ain't nobody wants to hear what you would have somebody else do. You ain't booking. You ain't promoting. Hell, you barely got a podcast. The only reason you got viewers is because WWE cornholes you in there. That's a fact. And I'll stand on that till I'm blue in the face. You want to call me out? For real? Give me your telephone number. I told you I'd get back at you in my time, not your time, bitch. I said it. Somebody bookmark that. I said it. Ain't nobody wants to hear your take when it's already shielded. You ain't nothing but a grifter, and that's it. It's the only thing you got left in wrestling, and I'll be damned if you ain't going to fuck that up too. Respectfully. Also, MJF. When you are overseas and you are carrying an American flag, even if you're on domestic soil, it is offensive to let that flag touch the ground. You did it 4 times. Then you turned around and said you wish that, what's his face? Dude used to be your friend, was banging Britt Baker, but they done split up now. I forget what his name is. It's that insignificant. But you said you wished he would get penis cancer? Are you for real with these things you're doing out there right now? Tony Khan needs to rein your ass in quickly before you kill something that has a chance to be good. And I'll be damn sure if I ain't thinking you're trying to do it right now. If you want to go to WWE, man, go. Just go. All right, now that I got that crap off my chest, because that's been eating at me all damn day. Tony Khan. Sir, you brought us a show that I thoroughly expect. After I watched, Double or Nothing and the shows that led up to Double or Nothing, I was a little bit disappointed for a little while. Then you got some good banger shows going into Forbidden Door, and then it kind of, Tonight is the best show I've ever seen. We're going to get into it here in just a minute. I actually have a red light. I have a red light comment tonight because this is just so ridiculously stupid. All right. Context. And this is from Twitter. Y'all know at the end of the show tonight, Tony Khan popped out a Daniel Bryan package. And that's really an appreciation package. And quite frankly, I think it's breadcrumbs, giving us the results of the match between him and Swerve Strickland. But I digress a little bit. Regardless, it was a hell of a video package, which I'm going to get into detail with later on. Screen name at JHM 8806 had this to say: why is Tony Khan Man not using any of Bryan Danielson's footage from his matches versus Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Triple H, AJ Styles, CM Punk, etc.? He is such a petty fucking man. Not shocked. AEW Dynamite. I don't know, dumbass. Why doesn't Chevrolet run Ford commercials? Why doesn't Ford run Dodge commercials? Why is your IQ below freezing? These are questions we may never know. But that is absolutely a red light post for tonight. I was going to have one. Other people have other words for it, but I'm going to tell you right now. That is the dumbest tweet I've seen in the last 25 minutes. I'm sure they'd get stupider if I put some effort into it, but man, that was stupid. AEW put on a hell of a show tonight. We're going to kick into it right now. We kicked off the match. We kicked off the day or the night with Mercedes Moné and Hikaru Shida. First off, shout out to Tony for not kicking off the show with a fucking MJF promo. Them things are so weak, so canned, so watered. Y'all just need to stick him in matches. Don't let him have the mic for like 6 months. Because if you've heard one promo, you've heard them all. So thank you, Tony, for not opening up with an MJF promo. And thank you very much for highlighting women's wrestling. And on a side note, this was a pay-per-view level match. These are matches that WWE won't give you. And yeah, I did mention it because they don't. When they do it, it's usually got like absolute main roster fuckery written all over it. You either don't get a decisive finish or you get a stinky ass finish. But you don't get a good finish out of any great match that WWE gives you on free TV. It's only happened like a couple of times in 25 years, and I think that was an absolute screw-up on behalf of Vince McMahon and lately on behalf of Triple H. But we kicked this night off with Mercedes Moné and Hikaru Shida. And in my estimation for a women's match, they started off tearing the house down. The match kicked off with a classic collar and elbow tie-up. Now, I'm going to tell you something about wrestling. If you pay attention to a good wrestling match, the collar and elbow tie-up at the very beginning of it, if I see that and if I see how that's told, I can generally predict the finish on it. Because the wrestlers are already giving you a little bit of breadcrumb. If you know what you're looking for. And tonight was absolutely it was no different. Although I would have loved. I'm going to get ahead of myself here just a little bit. I would rather see this one run back. Forget Britt Baker. Send her ass packing. I'm going to get to that at the end of this match. Because she did one of them bitch moves. And I'm not talking about a delicate female in heat or something like that. I'm talking about that Karen that does not like where she's at. But we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that a little bit later. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But this match right here delivered. Camille, you delivered. I am glad to see how they're bringing Camille along in all this. And in case y'all ain't noticed, Camille's like 85 feet tall. So it's hard to make her work with any of the women because she's like a foot taller than everybody else. She is literally an Amazonian. And ain't nothing wrong with that because she can go in the ring too. But I thought it was a good highlight. A very good highlight for her to be down there as sort of the enforcer, if you will. The two athletes engaged in fast-paced exchange, leading to Shida taking down Moné with a powerful lariat. Shida has some of the cleanest, crispest, and I don't even know if that's a word, but I just said it. She has some of the cleanest wrestling moves of any woman in the world. And she can make a nickel look like a dollar every day. Write that one down. Make a nickel look like a dollar. That just came off the top of my head. But, and a Connor roll nearly secured. I mean, this back and forth just right at the beginning. I mean, and has anybody ever noticed that match started off slow? First 3 minutes were like filling each other out, which I was kind of expecting since the two of them had never met. They needed to kind of get comfortable with each other in the ring, but after about 3 minutes, somebody popped the top off that can and they went to work. I mean, they put in world class work that men would have to sit back and go because it was that good. The action spills off the apron where Sheeta used the turnbuckle to her advantage, only for Camille to run interference. Despite the referee's intervention, Mercedes capitalized with a stunning Meteora. The champion maintained control, but Sheeta's resilience was on full display as she fought back with a back body drop, series of high impact moves, and a nail biting sequence. And this was a nail biting sequence. Sheeta nearly claimed the title with a diving Meteor, only for Mercedes to narrowly escape. Three Amigos sequence saw Sheeta counter into a Falcon Arrow, but it still wasn't enough to put the champion away. The match reached a boiling point outside the ring, where Sheeta's kendo stick attack on Camille was met with a big boot. Now, see, here's where that main roster stuff gets involved there. See, she pops her with a stick, and then, I don't know, the stick somehow winds up in the ring. Mercedes throws it back out, but just in time when Sheeta turns around, boom, big boot. And Mercedes drags her back in the ring for the 1-2-3. The drama was not over with yet because boring ass Britt Baker power walks her ass down to the ring, deliberately is slow, deliberately phoning this shit in. That was just ugly. It was just ugly, ugly, ugly. It was. And I mean, my biggest concern for All In at this point, and I share the same concern with everybody who actually paid attention to the show, is that we're going to get to All In and Britt Baker's just going to phone that whole match in. Mercedes going to work her ass off. Britt's going to phone it in. Her stands are going to cheer, and everybody's going to talk about what a great worker she is, and she ain't. She's going to phone that match in and totally spoil it. Which is why I said earlier, I would almost rather see Hikaru Shida and Mercedes Moné run this thing back at All In a cage match. I'd like to see this and be a cage match. No interference. Mercedes got to stand on her own 2 feet, which would be nice because she can do that. Before Camille got here, Mercedes was putting on banger-ass matches by herself. Didn't need that help. But here we are. So, Tony, even though you don't listen, somebody shares the stream, he happens to catch it. I mean, please. I would have a word of prayer with Britt Baker because y'all got a hellacious match that you can have. The question is she going to try to have it? Right now, my sincere answer is probably not. So I'm a little bit concerned about All In for that particular match right there, and only because I think Britt Baker's just being a spoiled ass brat. Now, if y'all fans of Britt Baker, I'm sorry, I'm not. I didn't see her before she left AEW for her little hiatus and so on. I started watching seriously while she was gone, and quite frankly, the women's division in and of itself has always been impressive to me. It was one of the main reasons I started watching, because the men's matches are always going to be good. The difference between WWE and AEW, and I know I keep saying that, but I cannot emphasize this enough. The difference between them is how they treat their women's division. Because for years we were getting bras and panties matches. Then we had the 4 horsewomen in there, and they actually started turning it around where we got serious matches with the women. But then they just like did a half 180, like they did kind of a 90, not a whole 180. And they're getting back to these stupid, feudless, goofy matches. And these women are so much better than that. You have so much better female talent in there that's just not being utilized to their top potential because you're too busy trying to come up with these fake, gimmicky, stupid-ass matches. AEW has a women's division that fights like men. So when they treat their women the same way they treat their men, see, I'm automatically locked into that. That locked me in. I can put up with the Orange Cassidys. I can put up with that. I can tolerate Orange Cassidy. Now, some people can't, but I haven't been watching it long enough yet for him to get completely under my skin. But I do know that overall, I can tolerate him. But the way they do their women's matches, with the exception of a couple, I have seen some stinkers. I'm not going to lie. I've seen some stinkers. I'm not going to paint it as all great and everybody else is all shit. I have seen some stinkers. But for the most part, and on the whole, they have the best women's division in the world right now. And with Mina Shirakawa coming in, and I think they got a legit shot at Riho because they're already picking some other people up from that promotion. I think they got a legit shot at Riho. If they get Riho in that division, it's on. And I'm not even going to talk about, I ain't trying to say nothing, but Buddy Matthews has got a hook in Rhea Ripley. They call it a wedding ring. And we were talking about this on the show tonight at Covalent TV, which shout out to them because they brought the work tonight. I don't even know how I could follow that show. They brought the work tonight. It was good. It was crisp. It was clean. If you get a chance, check out Covalent TV. Because if you've never seen them work, go watch their streams. They got two of them. I wish I had somebody to bounce off of, but I don't. I got to bounce off myself, which kind of makes it a little bit harder to be solo, but I don't mind. I'll be solo until I can find somebody to bounce off of. I tried finding a couple of people. I ain't found anybody yet that I want to share this with. I ain't found anybody that sees my point of view when it comes to wrestling. And when I find that person, we'll have a team, and I'll have somebody to bounce off of, and my show should go smoother. Shout out if the sound is coming in good tonight. I made a little mic change today. Really happy about that. It wasn't terribly expensive, which made me really happy. But, yeah, I mean, Buddy Matthews got a hook in Rhea Ripley called a wedding ring. And we were doing some research tonight, and I came across an interesting tidbit that Rhea Ripley's been under contract since 2017, so she's 7 years in the company, which means her contract's got to be coming up soon. And you know what? If I were you, Tony, I'm going to echo the sentiments of the Covalent TV. If I were you, Tony, you've been doing this nice guy shit for so long that you're actually good at it. Meanwhile, WWE's coming behind you and taking talent that should be coming to AEW because they work better with AEW. Now, I know some talent in Stardom that will work great in WWE. But a majority of the talent coming out of Stardom, CMLL, AAA, all that, they're AEW speed. And when I say AEW speed, I mean the pace, the match. They're not much on talking. They're much on fighting and telling stories in the ring. That's where they really should be going. But WWE's throwing bags at them just so you can't have them. Her contract's got to be coming up, Tony. And I echo the sentiment of our little underground class. When I say it's time to get your damn hands dirty, sir, I would fly all the way the hell down to Australia. Sit down in that living room and go, what's it going to take? I totally agree. I totally agree with Mr. Starks. I totally agree with Warner on this. We are in lockstep. I would be sitting on the couch going, what's it going to take? And I would spend the money. What? 2, 3, 4 million? They ain't giving her but $250,000 a year plus merch, which is why she's got to go out there and hawk merch like a fucking drink salesman in the crowd. And she's the best women's wrestler y'all got. Hands down. Best look, best character, best mic work. That comment on Monday Night Raw is still in my head. I don't know who wrote it, but whoever wrote it, if she wrote it, she need a raise. If she's got a creative team that wrote it, they need a raise. Stuck the knife in my back, but I'm sure you've heard this before, it just didn't get deep enough. and the crowd blew up. This woman brings it. She brings it on the mic, she brings it on the stage, and mm, she made old girl look good in that match. And that's hard to do sometimes. So yeah, just a thought, getting on. But anyway, the drama didn't end there. Dr. Britt Baker's music hit. Camille attempted to intercept her on the ramp, only to find out that there was a decoy in the crowd, and we don't know who that guy was. Whoever that was, they was getting the holy shit beat out of them. And Britt Bitch Baker just power walked slowly down to the ring, slowly got up on. Man, and I'm with him on this too. If I'm Mercedes, I hit her, I clock her upside the head because she's deliberately moving in there slowly. Damn near killed the whole segment. But anyway, she gets the lock on there, the lockjaw on Mercedes, and the crowd goes crazy for some ungodly reason because she's boring as hell and she sucks. But the crowd goes crazy. Camille drags her out the ring, damn near killed the segment. I mean, seriously, in a bad way. So, I mean, anyway, that almost killed the segment, but fortunately, Camille, for whatever reason, her presence. Now, see, I'm gonna highlight that part. Everybody else is highlighting how the match went, and how bad Britt Baker was on it, and I echo that sentiment. But Camille Brickhouse tonight, she did something that is greatly, greatly overlooked in storytelling. But that's because she just came from NWA when that's all they can do is tell stories in the ring because it's hard to get promo time in when you're fighting for airtime. So you want to get all your wrestling in when you can, and there just ain't a whole lot of room for promos. So, I mean, she gets that from the NWA days, and it really showed there. Her protection for Mercedes Moné cannot be overshadowed. It cannot be undervalued enough. Camille, that was a hell of a save for that segment because otherwise it was going downhill fast, and it didn't have anywhere to go but the basement. Thank you, Camille. You saved it. Saved the whole series there. Anyway, tensions are running high backstage. Jeff Jarrett's irate, feeling slighted by being labeled an annoyance in Hangman Adam Page's journey. Jay Lethal, on the other hand, is adamant that Page's issues with Swerve have nothing to do with them, but Hangman's adamant that he's going to whoop somebody's ass. And that's exactly what he started doing. And you know what? This is I know everybody was just absolutely insane that Jeff Jarrett was getting any television time, but the setup for how they pulled this match together was absolutely pristine. It really was. You had just a little bit of talking. They were working the promo. All of a sudden, Hangman Adam Page comes out of nowhere and just starts whipping ass. And then he's whipping up on Jeff Jarrett. And then, Jay Lethal gets a hand on him. But there just isn't anything else you can do with a man that big. So Hangman Adam Page turns around, starts waylaying the shit out of Jay Lethal. And literally they're fighting down to the ring. I mean, by the way, guys, this is what we call a story. This is a story. Yeah. See, Hangman Adam Page has got problems with that crew too. So they was telling the story all the way down to the ring with fisticuffs. We didn't have mics. We had fists. And bless Pat if Hangman Adam Page, if Page just don't know how to work it all the way down through there. He made Jay Lethal look really, really like a legitimate contender. Jay Lethal's older than I am. If he's not my age, he's older than I am. Hangman Adam Page probably in his 30s. So it's not easy to make an old man look that good in the ring, especially one that doesn't work quite regularly in the ring anymore. So anyway, they're fisticuffing it all the way down to the ring. Now, this is the kind of action you want to see. And Tony, good God, this thing was amazing. They just kept on fighting, kept on fighting. The bell rings just out of nowhere and blah, blah, blah. I mean, Hangman Adam Page versus Jay Lethal. A match is a whirlwind from the start. Lethal, fueled by the backstage confrontation, unleashes a barrage of no less than 5 suicide dives, taking the fight to Hangman with unrelenting aggression. Once again, something else missing in professional wrestling these days. Usually you get a lot of talk, a lot of bullshit, and then eventually they make it down to the ring. They slap a few times and they get into it. Not these two. Not these two. No, no. Adam Page is not one to be easily subdued, though. He rallies, landing a deadeye on the apron, and that was, for me, the way they sold that thing, you thought he killed Jay Lethal right there. You thought Jay Lethal was paralyzed from his neck down. That's how intense that drop was. That drop was just so daggum intense, I thought he killed him. I did for 1 minute. I mean, when you're suspending your disbelief, I didn't really believe he killed him. All right, don't run out there saying I thought he killed somebody in kayfabe. But kayfabe wise, in all seriousness, I thought he killed him. You know. As referee Paul Turner keeps a close eye on the chaos, Page doesn't let up, throwing Lethal into the timekeeper's table as we cut to commercial. Upon return, the action has not cooled down. Page nearly secures the win with a belly-to-belly. And when I'm talking about how this took me back to 1985, they had a guy named Magnum TA, and that was his finishing move. Exactly what Hangman Adam Page did to Jay Lethal with that belly-to-belly was Magnum TA's finishing move. Terry Allen. He looked like Magnum PI, so they called him Magnum TA. Literally, look it up. He was almost a spitting image of Tom Selleck, only he had blonde hair and not black hair. So it was a perfect name for him, Magnum TA, but that was his finishing move. What Adam Page did, absolutely. But Lethal was quick to respond, seeking a quick pin, he was really trying at that point. He gave... as far as Jay Lethal selling how bad that belly-to-belly was on him, you could see him desperation style trying to get a pin, try to crucifix, a roll-up, a couple other things. Lethal, the lethal combination, whatever you call it, lethal injection, something like that. I forget what it was. It's lethal something. He had about 10 names for everything. But he got in there, and you could just see the desperation in his eyes. So shout out, man, you know what? Shout out to Jay Lethal for selling the way he sold. He sold really well. Made that match, made Hangman look like $1 million, and that ain't easy to do some days. If Hangman's on the shiznit, it just really ain't easy to make him look like $1 million, because he looks like the Barbarian and the Ultimate Warrior all wrapped up in one when he gets on that thing. But yeah, Jay Lethal made him look like $1 million. Those desperation pins, you just could not. You were actually thinking Jay Lethal was almost dead. So shout out to him for selling the way he sold. Very good match, Jay. I would have given it 4 stars easily. It was a very short match. I would have given him 4 stars. The two wrestlers exchanged blows with Page. That discus lariat that he hit him with to set up for that buckshot. To see Jay Lethal take that thing, you thought he almost decapitated him right there in the ring. And then Page just hops out there and he waits his moment. Boom, buckshot, lariat, 1, 2, 3. It was an intense match. It was what you needed after the Mercedes Moné match, and the hits just kept on coming. They really did. After that, we get a recap of MJF's title defense over in the UK against Michael Oku, which there's already fresh buzz that Michael Oku's about to be signed, as well as his fiance at Rev Pro, which is partially where Will Ospreay had been. And I'm just going to escape the rest of that, except to say the only reason I even brought it up was to mention that Michael Oku's about to be signed. I think he's about to be signed. It's one of those things. And by the way, we got some news today that Tony Khan has a crew scouting Australia right now for a stadium show That's the other reason I was getting into the whole, if I'm him, I'd hit the Buddy Matthews hook if he hadn't already. But usually, in case you hadn't noticed, and Mr. Starks brought this out tonight, and something I didn't even think about. They had this big show up in Boston. We get Mercedes Moné. They had a big show in Chicago when they got CM Punk. Now they're scouting Australia. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Harley Cameron's a star over in Australia. I don't know if she's as big a star as Rhea Ripley, but she's a big-ass star, and she can sing. Have you heard the pipes on Harley Cameron lately? Look that up. Go to her Instagram. She can sing. Oh, my. Man, that about put a smile on my face and put me to sleep. She got one of the most beautiful voices of any woman I've heard in a long time. It's good. I think she could win the voice with that voice. I ain't lying. Shout out to Harley Cameron. I doubt she's listening either, but shout out to her too. But yeah, I mean, they were selling the Will Ospreay and MJF match for All In. I was totally the only thing I could really get into was the Will Ospreay save. Like I said earlier, when my little rage moment on MJF, if you're going to foreign soil with our flag, don't let it touch the ground on foreign soil, you fucking idiot. You look like a damn douchebag doing that. You're supposed to be a real American dragging the flag on the ground. You look stupid. You look stupid. You look stupid. That's stupid. Okay? The anticipation for All In is still building as we watch a video package hyping the upcoming clash between Will Ospreay and MJF. I've already gotten through that. Stakes are high. The wrestling world is buzzing about what promises to be the match of the ages. And like we said, Pac comes in a little bit later on, and we've got a match set up 2 weeks after that. Pac's frustration and determination. Pac delivered a fiery promo expressing his frustration over losing his number one contendership. Basically, he's been overlooked. He won a number one contenders match. So, Tony, if I had one little bitty criticism, is that Pac's telling the truth. That video package said it all. He won a match to be the number one contender and then got flipped over for Will Ospreay and MJF. I don't blame him. I'd be pissed off. His reference to beating Kenny Omega 5 years ago in the same arena adds a layer of personal history to the one that's going on in Chicago because, 5 years ago, Chicago, he beat Kenny Omega which in a fire match. I'm going to tell you right now, I loved that match. And guess what it was? It was a story. That's right, boys and girls. It was a storytelling video package. Who the hell thought? But I thought AEW didn't tell stories. That's what I'm reading on. Oh, and I'll get to that one a little bit later. Something hit me there, too. It's one of the things when I'm doing a show. It's after 1 o'clock in the morning here on the Eastern Standard Time. So thank you. I got 13 viewers out there. Oh, my goodness. Let me be the first to thank you. Thank you for sticking with me this late at night. Some of you might be on the West Coast. I don't know where any of you are. I'm not seeing any chats yet. Feel free to light the chats up. I do respond to chats. I have responded to them when I see them. So, it'd be really nice if you guys would start chatting. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, getting back to it. Darby Allin. Yet another video package. Darby Allin's promo was a new reflection on his journey from indie wrestling to being an AEW star. He questioned Jungle Boy's contributions to AEW. That makes two of us. So I ain't seen anything going on there yet except he got a title. He did wrestle a couple of times. And, his performance at Double or Nothing was phenomenal. His performance at Blood and Guts, he is literally the scapegoat. And he's what I call a spot monkey. Him and Darby Allin are both what we call spot monkeys. They are the spot monkeys for AEW. It just is what it is when it is what it is. I will concede that to anybody who says They're nothing but spot monkeys. I agree. But their spots are a hell of a lot better than the other spot monkeys y'all got up there. So if I were y'all, I'd just kind of watch it. Because y'all spot monkeys do stupid shit. Now, granted, they do dangerous shit, but it's very well controlled. It gets the shock effect that you want to get. You know, you've got that shock effect, like setting him on fire at Double or Nothing. That had some shock effect to it. And they even worked the story out right. They had Darby Allin dunking him in a pool of ice water. And you're like, why in the world are they doing that? And then when they get around to the end and he gets set on fire, you realize they were putting a fireproof gel on him in the background. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, he got set on fire for about 2 seconds. He got put out. It was a fireproof gel. He didn't get burned. Nobody got burned, but it was really good for shock effect. So, yeah, our spot monkeys do shit. That's the difference. The intensity escalated when scapegoat Jack Perry ambushed Darby Allin, leading to a brutal backstage brawl. The violence peaked when Perry attempted to crush Allin with a road case after he already had him trapped under the door. And we all know if you've ever dropped one of those doors on your toe, it damn well hurts. So it's sold. Sold quite well. Only to be stopped by security. Perry issues a challenge for a coffin match at All In. So Perry is actually asking for Darby Allin's signature match. And I think that's what we're going to get at All In. So you know what? We can only hope. But the reality of it is we should be able to get that match. Coffin match at All In is going to... That thing is, for those of us who enjoy the violent side of things, Jack Perry and Darby Allin, both of them aren't afraid of glass. They aren't afraid of fire. And as we could tell with Darby Allin, he ain't afraid of being hung upside down for longer than the law ever should have allowed. How he was alive after that upside down segment for like 10 minutes. He's hanging upside down. It got so bad, the fans were like, please help Darby, you know. So we know the extreme level they're willing to go to. And it's a coffin match. Man, sign me up. Sign me up. Hell of a good booking segment for Tony. Hell of a way to introduce it. Once again, boys and girls, we had what? A story. And it's been a long-term story. This is long-term booking, by the way. There's an end game to everything. And not to be outdone, following that, if Mariah May and Tony Storm add one more level to this onion that we have to peel back for All In, I'm not 100% sure that their match is not going to... And trust me on this. Swerve Strickland and Brian Danielson. Sorry, Brian. Didn't mean to call you that WWE name. This feud, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm not even going out on a limb. I'm going out on a very thick branch. And I'm saying that this match here, with all this buildup, with all this tension, and hella good promo, hella good spots, this match right here has a chance to overshadow a retirement match. Because if Brian Danielson wins that title, I'm going to be shocked as shit. I'm not even lying. I really am. I'm going to be fucking shocked out of my brain if Brian Danielson wins this match over Swerve Strickland. So for all intents and purposes, we have Brian Danielson's last match at a major pay-per-view ever. Because he's going to have neck surgery. He's already announced that he's going to have neck surgery by the end of the year. And I've had neck surgery, the kind that he's probably going to have. He ain't coming back from that. Because he's going to need fusions of all kinds. Probably going to need a rod back there, too. He ain't coming back from that. I mean, he can come back and be a commentator, something like that right there. But for all intents and purposes, I think we're going to be viewing Bryan Danielson's last match ever. And Mariah May and Toni Storm, with the intensity of this feud, and this is what I like. This is one of the things I like about AEW. They build that women's division up so tight, so great. So this actually has a chance to overshadow a GOAT retirement. Mariah May's bold declaration, Mariah May's promo, was a chilling declaration of self prioritization and ambition. Her vow to learn from past mistakes and her ominous prediction about Toni Storm's future in AEW suggests a deep seated rivalry that's about to boil over, and I don't see the end of it. I really don't. I don't see the end of it. I think at the end of this, we do get unhinged Toni Storm, and this thing has the potential to drive us all the way to Double or Nothing next year. They're just getting started. You know, when Paul Heyman says, oh, we're in inning 3, I don't even think we're out of the second inning on this one, just to give you WWE fans a general idea of where I think we are with this particular feud. I don't think we're even in the second inning of this. I don't think we're done with the second inning. This thing's still got plenty to play out. We had the first inning where everybody was in love, and Mariah May was torn between the Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm match and all that. That was the first inning of this feud. We opened up the second inning with that hella good heel turn from Mariah May, and that was hella good. Oh, my God. That heel turn you did not see coming at the end of the Owen Hart Cup. She busts her open, kisses her bloody forehead, pops up with blood all over her face. That was the opening of the second inning of this. That was just the opening. Man, that thing is so good. Mariah May simply said that, you know, we all die, but she is going to deliver your eulogy. Man. That was thunder and lightning right there. That's lightning in a bottle, Tony. Total lightning in a bottle. I can't even get started with this, but, you know, but once again, it's a story. That's what it is. Storytelling. Not to be outdone by that, we get Mina Shirakawa. Mina Shirakawa's backstage interview revealed emotional turmoil and conflict within the women's division. Her heartbreak was really, I mean, as well as she can convey it. Her English is getting a whole lot better. Do I think that a lot of them would be served with having a manager, somebody to kind of get the word out a little bit easier and so on and so forth? Yeah. But I mean, the whole thing of her standing there in the shadows of it, like just hoping for a positive outcome, a safe outcome. Really, really backing up Mariah May's promo. Whew. That was just really, really good. And back from break, you know, I said the storytelling continues to captivate audiences. It's a blend of personal history, raw emotion, and in-ring action because that's how AEW tells their stories. You got to pay attention. You got to tune in. You got to keep up. If you don't do all of those three things, you're behind. It's going to take you a week to catch up, if not more. Because this was story after story after story after story. All night long. Story, story, story. And I'm telling you right now, all those storyline drones, y'all going to have a meltdown in the morning. I'm looking forward to the meltdown. I really am. Good. I hope you melt down all the way. But then again, it just goes back to what I've been saying the whole time. If you don't like it, don't watch. I got people popping in and out of the stream right now. I'm saying stuff they don't like, they don't watch. They leave. I'm fine with that. They'll come back. And that's exactly what I've been saying before. If you don't like it, don't watch. Stop moving the goalpost. I mean, Mr. Starks put a post out saying, by the way, guys, this is what storytelling looks like. Oh my goodness, they're telling stories. And you had to have some WWE drone down there. Well, let's see if they can do it consistently. Dumbass, they've been doing it consistently. Keep up. I'm dead serious. They've been doing it consistently. Just because you can't read the book don't mean it's a bad book. It just means you can't read. Respectfully. After this, we get Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong in a three-way match. From the get-go, it was pretty high-paced, pretty good action. Several pin attempts, lots of pin attempts in this thing. I'm going to escape most of the match because I agree with the sentiment of people who are hardcore AEW fans and are getting kind of put out. I'm not to the point yet with Orange Cassidy because, like I said, I only started watching right before Double or Nothing, so I don't have a whole lot yet where Orange Cassidy is so far down on my nerves that I'm ready for him to just go away. But some of the stalwarts are just like, you know what? Of all the people who didn't need this win, Orange Cassidy was the guy who didn't need this win. It was some good action, though. I got to say, Roddy brought it. Roddy brought a Roddy match, and Roddy is probably one of my unsung heroes because that man works his ass off to have so little gold. He does twice the work of most anybody in that particular segment not to have any gold. They let him have the international title for about 10 minutes so he could give it to Will Ospreay. So Roderick Strong, once again, is another one who probably doesn't listen yet. He could catch the recast for all I care, or the replay. But Roderick, if you actually do tend to listen to this, I just want you to know I see you. If nobody else sees you, I see you. That's a fact. There's a hell of a match you worked tonight, and the wrong person won. And when I say the wrong person, I mean Orange Cassidy won. I called it in the prediction show earlier today. I said that just for some odd reason, I saw Orange Cassidy winning this match. And, of course, it was live, so I didn't have any tape things to look at. So, of all the people, Kyle O'Reilly is like one in whatever for the whole year. He needed that win. He could have used that win. You didn't need to give it to Orange Cassidy. And Norfolk, as I like to say, you guys did a really good job of undoing what the previous 4 crowds have done when it comes to Orange Cassidy. Y'all popped like little teenage cheerleaders heading to the prom with the football players ready to get their next little piece of ass. Okay? That's how you popped. Orange Cassidy is good. Don't get me wrong. For an indie wrestler turned pro, I'm over his gimmick, even though he didn't do the hands in the pocket thing, thank God. Because if he'd have done the hands in the pocket, this whole match would have been from start to finish. But Orange Cassidy picks up the win. Climactic moment. O'Reilly attempted to capitalize on a malfunction at the junction. But a knee strike led to a double cover, which referee blah, blah, blah. And Orange Cassidy flipped over, seized the opportunity with a well-timed crucifix pin on Kyle O'Reilly. Escape, not even with it. Then backstage, we get Claudio Castronoli and Okada. I'm not even trying his first name. I've never been able to say it. I'm going to butcher it like a bad piece of meat if I try to say it. Renee Paquette had the challenging task of moderating the tense face-to-face between the two. Claudio, with a mix of pain and determination, expressed his resolve to reclaim the Continental Championship. Okada, the ever stoic competitor, acknowledged Castronoli's passion, but reminded him of his own status as the greatest tournament wrestler of all time, promising to respect promising respect upon victory in Cardiff. Only upon victory in Cardiff, bitch. That's how he said it. Claudio, I know nobody writes y'all's promos, so this was a pretty damn hot comeback. Claudio told him he had 99 problems and this bitch was one. I loved it. I'm pretty sure everybody at home loved it. In fact, I know it's been the talk of. I saw an awful lot of posts talking about it. 99 problems, and this bitch is definitely one. And I came back and said 99 problems, and this bitch is every single one of them. Because I don't think one-on-one outside of a tournament event, Claudio is going to have any problems dispensing with Okada. Even though Claudio jumped down there after Okada was gone, he said he wanted that four-time G1 champion Okada. He wanted the New Japan, the Tokyo Dome Okada. And that's what we all want anyway. Because this watered-down version of Okada, I almost can't take him seriously going against Claudio. I really can't. I have a hard time taking him serious in any match right now. I mean, I realize that bitch is a funny word when used, but it starts getting boring after a while. But yeah, I mean, he held off on it and he made it down to his last minute and he just couldn't get away without it. And so, good retort by Claudio. Back from break, we get the patriarchy. Oh, God, that was horrible. But it's part of the story, the Trios Championship. If you remember last week on Collision, Christian Cage inserted himself as the referee between the Bang Bang Gang and House of Black and made sure it was a double count out or a double, they couldn't answer the 10 count either way. And Christian Cage has some sort of a belief that somehow, in some way, means that neither one of them are number one contenders anymore. It is mind-boggling to me sometimes. Christian Cage does some really mental promos. But this one right here wasn't mental, it was mind-boggling because, Helen Keller can see that we've got a three-way dance coming at All In for the AEW Trios title. And right there is when I think that Killswitch should probably turn face. He should probably rise up, smoke Christian Cage, smoke Nick Wayne, grab Brazzers Wayne, drag her up the aisle, and the next thing you hear is her screaming, and then she ain't screaming anymore. It's sort of a happier thing. You know what I mean? That would be perfect right there. That would be a perfect thing where he just drops a kiss on her to just make her melt. Because she needs a man in her life anyway, right? That's the way they're booking it. So that's where they're going with it. Okay, that's great. So Killswitch is probably going to split out. Back to the ring, we get in the ring, Tony Schiavone's introduction of Hook was met with candid admission from the wrestler about his impaired vision. Yeah, Hook showed up to the ring just to tell everybody that he can't see, which we know he can't see, And then, of course, on cue, the learning tree comes out to crickets. Jericho tells him that he'll give him the match, and, but it's under a couple of stipulations. If Hook loses, he can't ever vie for the FTW championship again, and so on and so forth. I got to get all these things right here. Except at Wembley, Jericho laid out his terms. This is Hook's last chance, and a loss means exiting Jericho's orbit, thank God. If Jericho's orbit could exit the ring and the building, that would be even better. And also that Hook had to fight Big Bill this next week on Dynamite. Hook's response was as fierce as it was fearless, looking at the challenge and vowing that after Wembley Stadium, Jericho would never be the same again. Shout out to Hook trying to really rag Jericho's hook for pun intended hook in WWE. It was absolutely hilarious. I could see Jericho wasn't having none of it. And I think it bordered on gimmick infringement. The only thing is, Hook couldn't pull it off the way Jericho pulled it off. That's the only thing that saved him from absolute gimmick infringement. It was hilarious. We're over the 1 hour mark, by the way. Still got 13 viewers. Shout out to all of you. That's the only thing I think that saved Jericho from having an absolute meltdown is because he didn't nail the hook. If he had nailed the hook, it would have been a whole lot better, but he didn't nail the hook. And that takes us on here. Now we're diving into the high-stakes AEW World Tag Team Championship match that we've only been waiting for what, 2 months now? 2 months? The Acclaim versus the Young Bucks. The match began with an explosive start as the Acclaimed ambushed the Bucks during their entrance, setting up the tone for a brawl that would spill down to the stage once again. Don't get me wrong. I can't stand the Acclaimed. Now, everybody doesn't love it. The gimmicks played out. Nobody wants to hear Max Caster talking about dicks. And yeah, I said it exactly like that because he exactly said that in the middle of a pay-per-view. Nobody wants to hear that. The kids don't want to hear that. I'm tired of it. A lot of people are tired of it. The pops are getting smaller. Except when you're in Virginia, who apparently no longer get wrestling anymore. So they mark out like Leon France did for that WWE pay-per-view. When they get any kind of wrestling there, same thing in West Virginia. So they marked out for everything. So it just happens. But yeah, I mean, but still though, even though the Acclaimed are not in my top 1,000 favorite tag teams, and there aren't even 1,000 tag teams out there, this was a nice start to the match. If we're going to have the match, that fighting all the way down thing, it worked well with Jay Lethal and Hangman Adam Page. And I think it worked really well in this segment here, too, because the Young Bucks were already, like, phoning it in from the top of the ramp. And I think, for once in their life, I think the Acclaimed actually wanted to have a good match. So they kicked it off with that tornado-type move, getting all the way down there. And, setting the stage for a brawl that would spill all the way to the stage. In the ring, Anthony Bowens and Matthew Jackson kicked things off. But it was Daddy Ass's ringside presence that gave the Acclaim an advantage leading us into the commercial break. Upon return, the Acclaim maintained their momentum, but a well-timed upkick from Matthew. God, he has to have my name too, doesn't he? But a well-timed upkick from Matthew blocked their signature move, the Scissor Me Timbers, which is, oh boy, yeah, Scissor Me Timbers. And the tide turned when Nicholas Jackson landed a cheap shot, prompting Daddy Ass to chase him around with a chair, only to be ejected by the referee. The Bucks then isolated Bowens, nearly securing a pinfall with a running knee. After another commercial break, the Bucks' signature super kick party nearly took Max Caster out of the equation. However, Anthony Bowens dodged a super kick party, unleashing a series of lariats to turn the tables. Max Caster tagged in, delivering a sling blade to Nicholas, and setting up Matthew for a military press into Snake Eyes. A diving crossbody followed, but Matthew managed to break up the pin. A flurry of super kicks ensued, with all four men going for lariats, leading to a dramatic moment where everyone was absolutely out cold in the ring. Schoolboy pin attempt was attempted with a handful of trunks of Max, was countered, and chaos erupted when referee Rick Knox was not taken down. Matthew Jackson seized the opportunity to kick Max with a low blow, but FTR's arrival stopped him from using the belt as a weapon. Dax Hardwood's intervention led to a disqualification victory for the Bucks. Absolute shit finish for this match. I understand what they're trying to do with this, but there were better ways to do it. The fact of the matter is, It was a good match, even for the Acclaimed, even for the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks just haven't wrestled that much this year. They've wrestled the main stuff. They've shown up for the big matches. They haven't really put in a lot of TV time besides that. So it was kind of refreshing to watch them kind of go at it. I don't think either side was going at full speed. So this run in from FTR was just absolutely the wind completely out of the sails of this match. And, the Young Bucks retreated with their titles in hand. We have the Dairy Queen finish at the end was just, as far as the match could have finished better for me, it wasn't exactly all it could have been. I'm not going to lie. I always keep it 100. Even if I love AEW, the match was not the best. And I'd be the first person to say that one right away, mainly because the Acclaimed aren't really the Acclaimed, and the Young Bucks are well past their time. That I will concede. I've seen a lot of posts about that, and I would love to disagree, but then as soon as I disagree, the Young Bucks phone it in just like this, and it led to a shitty finish. So backstage, we got Christopher Daniels sitting there. They're both watching the monitor. And Christopher Daniels says he thinks he has a solution. So FTR and the Acclaimed are going to wrestle next week. And the winner of that match will be the number one contender to the Young Bucks World Tag Team Championship at All In. And I swear on everything that's holy, right here, right now, Tony Khan, this is one moment where I'm seriously going to call you out on this one. If the Acclaimed, for some fucked up reason, beat FTR, that is going to be the shittiest rematch you have ever seen. The Young Bucks and the Acclaimed do not work well together. I get the feeling they don't play well together backstage. And especially after Max Caster's stupid ass comment about MJF, while I agree with him that I wouldn't work with MJF, I wouldn't put that shit out there in the public, man. All you're doing is giving the WWE drones cannon fodder. Oh, look, MJF's back there starting shit again. I can see this tomorrow morning. When I turn on the Twits, when I turn on the Facebook, I can absolutely see the dirt sheets talking about this. Oh, MJF's fucking up the backstage again. Everybody says they got decorum, but Max Caster says he will not work with MJF. And it would be it would make your career. And I guess that's where MJF got his comment from. He can work with people he don't like. He can put over people he don't like. Post-match fallout, security rush to prevent further conflict between FTR. We already went through that part of it. Christopher Daniels, we're getting the match at Collision, which I'm also covering. And I swear, if the Acclaimed win that match and go to Wembley for a replay of this shit tonight, I'm not having it. And, the tag titles are already diminished enough as it is, just by not being on television that much. So if we have another Acclaimed and, oh God, please just don't let that happen. And after that, we had Swerve Strickland versus Wheeler Yuta. This match was a mini cheat code. 2 reasons. Number one, it was an absolute squash. I'll hit some of the highlights here. The match started out with a bang as Swerve Strickland unleashed a big boot on Wheeler Yuta, setting a brutal tone as he threw Yuta against the barricade repeatedly. The aggression spilled over as Strickland whipped Wheeler into the steel steps right in front of Bryan Danielson, who's actually watching the match from the stands as a fan. You're getting a little hint of how this is going to look next year. Because I really, truly believe that Bryan Danielson will show up for matches as a fan. I believe he's going to be in the commentary. I hope he brings his daughter with him. I hope he brings his wife with him, although I doubt she'd go. She is a WWE girl. But, I really hope he brings his family to the matches. I really hope he keeps his family involved. I really hope he stays involved with AEW. because I think he's an invaluable asset. And I was not Brian Danielson's biggest fan. I said his name right. I had to think about that for a minute. When he was Daniel Bryan in WWE, and now I'm thoroughly convinced that they were intentionally burying him because I went back and watched a Ring of Honor match between him and a very skinny, oh my goodness, we were talking about a super skinny Samoa Joe. Him and Samoa Joe, man, please. That is the craziest looking little white dude I've ever seen wrestle in my entire life. And yeah, I said he's the craziest looking white dude. I don't have a problem saying that. So it would be a damn tragedy if he rode off into the sunset and we never saw him again. So yeah, I mean, it was like right there, right in front of white, taunting the American Dragon with a bold retirement claim. Back in the ring, Yuta fought back with a flurry of elbows, but Strickland's capture backbreaker and a vertical suplex into a single knee. I mean, the chain wrestling was just literally off the chain. Just absolutely off the chain. Wrenching Yuta's neck back in a tortuous hold that looked like literally he was going to break him in half several times. Yuta, however, displayed his resilience, reversing the hold into a wrist clutch. The action continued with Yuta executing a suicide dive that connected perfectly. But when the fight returned to the ring, Strickland caught Yuta's dive and locked in the label lock. So we got Strickland using Danielson's own finishing move on Yuta in the match. You know, in a shocking turn of events, just as Swerve seemed to, I mean, it's seriously, just as soon as, it's just simply crazy. It was just simply crazy. The final moments were as dramatic as they come, with Strickland asserting his dominance in a brutal display against Wheeler Yuta. The match was a roller coaster with Yuta showing heart and technical prowess, but ultimately Strickland's power and ferocity, good Lord, I can't talk tonight. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Of course I can't talk, but I just had this in me and I just had to get it out. I'm just so energetic. A good wrestling show will keep me this way for several hours. So, I mean, Strickland's power and ferocity were too much, leading to the referee stopping. I mean, literally, the match stops with Swerve Strickland. I mean, he was beating him so bad he couldn't defend himself. The referee throws his hands up, stops the match. I thought that was perfect. The post-match scene was charged with emotion as Bryan Danielson rushed to aid his protege, only for Swerve to walk away, leaving a statement that echoed through the arena. Strickland's chilling words on the mic promised a grim fate for Danielson at Wembley. He wanted to make sure he even brought his family into it. And just as it seemed Swerve had left the ring, Bryan Danielson turned his back. And all of a sudden, Swerve comes out of nowhere with a house call, takes Daniel out, takes Bryan Danielson out, and then stands there slowly with the yes. Yes. Shout out to Swerve Strickland for this, too, because he's doing all this right now as a tweener. Swerve Strickland is officially a tweener now. Not a heel, not a face, just somewhere in between. And the crowd is popping their ass off for this. So, overall, and that brings us to the end of one hellacious bit of Dynamite. My overall rating for this tonight, I'm giving Dynamite, I'm giving Dynamite a 9.2. I was at a 9.2. I don't have a moment tonight, just simply because there were so many. So my moment of the night is Tony Khan. He brought the stories. He brought the action. And he managed to bring the video packages in a way that were appealing to the AEW fan. If you're an AEW fan, these video packages were off the chisane all night long. There was not a bad video package in there at all. The only slow moments that I had tonight, Orange Cassidy and of course the acclaimed Young Bucks. That was like, but even the acclaimed Young Bucks started off right. There was enough action tonight, and it was almost an hour and a half of wrestling. Not to mention the Dynamites and the Rampages and the Collisions. Even their bad shows go fast. And this was no exception. 1 minute it's 8:02, and the next minute it's 10 o'clock, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, the show's over with, and we got 7 minutes more. It was just that good. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I was as a fan, not even as an analyst, because I stopped analyzing the matches halfway through and just appreciated the beauty of it. And in fact, I intentionally went into stream after Covalent TV because I wanted to drink all of that in, and I wanted to do something really special for this stream. That's why it's not a 45-minute stream. We're an hour and 15 minutes into this bad boy. Now, granted, I'm getting close to the end, but on any of the single show streams, I'm usually 45 minutes, get in, get out, maybe an hour. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I just want to get something out there, get stuff off my chest, get some analytics in there, get used to doing the talking. But tonight was such a special thing that I literally sat there and drank that entire show in while I was listening to another podcast and formed everything that I've got. Everything I've got tonight, this is stuff I was taking notes on in my mind while I was listening to their podcast, but I was running my notes back. That's how special this show was. And if Rampage is half as good, because you know damn good and well, they did the Rampage show there tonight. I can't wait to see who hung around for that. So Rampage is probably going to be off the his hook too. And I'm guessing Collision is going to be a pretty powerhouse show as well. This week we got nothing but good things to look forward to. As an AEW fan, you can stick your chest out proudly and fly the flag of AEW. That's also my clear the air for tonight. I want to thank y'all for joining me on Graps TV for this recap of AEW Dynamite. I am your host, the Matty Man. Be sure to tune in for our next podcast. Definitely going to be on Saturday. I might do one tomorrow night on Ring of Honor. I have not decided yet whether I'm going to do that or not. I'm going to sit down and watch it. For those of you who don't know, I've been working with one of the wrestlers, Cousin Beef, on his social profile. And he says he's got a match in the ROH thing. So I'm actually thinking about sitting down and watching the ROH show tomorrow night, the Ring of Honor show, just so I can catch some of his moves so I can talk more intelligently about it when I'm shouting him out. Because, guys, and by the way, I'm saying this again here in the stream. If you're not following him, check on my page. It's Cousin Beef. He's a Ring of Honor guy. Started off as enhancement talent. And from what I understand, he's coming up in the ROH line there. So I'm going to check that out tomorrow night. I may or may not do a review, depending on how good my voice is. I just may or may do that. Because you know what? We need to have a little bit more diversity out here in the podcast world anyway. Nobody's covering Ring of Honor right now for some ungodly reason. I know that Harley Cameron's got a match. I know that Mina Shirakawa's got a match on there. So, I mean, if you were impressed by tonight's Dynamite, you should be equally as impressed with Ring of Honor tomorrow. So, I'm probably going to have that right now. But from now on, for the moment, I would like to thank y'all. I've got 15 people in here now. I saw 16 before it dropped down to 15, but I guess they figured out I was close to the end of the podcast. But I want to thank every one of you for joining me. You had things you could be doing, but you chose to spend your time with me, an hour and a half. And I am very gracious for that, very grateful. Thank you for your support. I'll probably be back tomorrow night with a Ring of Honor stream. And for that point, from now on, and you know what? Thank you again, and good night, America, wherever you are.